Peace and greetings, peace and greetings. Eats Empress Etoy here. I am so happy to be back. We took a break for a couple of weeks, and of course, we have our special guest who I'm pretty sure you hear in the background right now. Oreo, the infamous Oreo. He always has to make his debut. He has been bad, so he's on punishment. So he's in the room, but obviously he doesn't care. He said, "Hey, you on the podcast? I want to be on the podcast too." So you may hear my birds chirping in the background as well. They may want to make their debut as well. So we just gonna let that be, and we're gonna keep on going. So I just want to say thank you so kindly for tuning in again. Thank you for your support. I am greatly appreciative. I am so honored. But you know how we start. We always got to start with a prayer because we have to bless this podcast. We have to bless everyone that's on this podcast and everyone that's watching. Give thanks. Omi tutu. Ile tutu. Ona tutu. I ask the Most High to give me the word to say out my mouth. I ask the Most High to remove all of the confusion, all of the stagnant energy, all of the blocks that's trying to stop me and any and everyone to be a part of this podcast or watch this podcast. Even Oreo, he decides to want to start barking as soon as I hit the live button. But it's okay because I know anytime we have confusion like this or we have obstacles like this, it always turn out to be a special episode. So I just want to say thank you, Most High. I give thanks to you. I say, yo. So we're gonna get right into it. I have a wonderful guest this evening. Her name is Stephanie Anna Young, warrior goddess, and that she is. She has a wonderful testimony of redemption. She's going to get on in a few minutes and she's going to tell her story. But before I bring Stephanie in, our warrior goddess, I'm going to bring in my mentor. You all know him, El Had Saladin. He has been becoming famous on this show. Every time I speak to someone, they always say, yeah, that brother, he's good. He's very informative. He always dropping knowledge. He always got books. And I say, yes, this is how he always been. I say, when you see him on the show, he's actually in his library. That is real books that you see surrounding him. Sometimes he gets up and say, hold on, wait a minute. Let me go get the book and bring it to you. So without further ado, let me introduce my co-host, El Haj Saladin. Peace and
Thank you so
greetings.
peace and greetings. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know.
Yes, I can.
Okay, just checking
Yes,
because
I can.
technology. Okay, there's a lot of
We can hear
imperfection in
you.
technology. Okay, great. Okay, well, I always begin
Yes.
Bismillah Rahman Rahim in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Uh, all praise is due to the Most High, having no beginning nor ending, and created all life that we know. And so it's always a pleasure coming on to the podcast to share what little knowledge we have. All of us only have a little bit of knowledge. And it's always a pleasure. And so without further ado, we can bring on the guests. And so we can begin this program. Thank you so much.
Ashe. And I just love how you're always so humble. My godfather told me that humility goes a long way.
Yes.
I know she said she feels comfortable talking about it.
Right.
So maybe we should, without out the question that I wanted to open the show a certain way, but you know what? She says she feels comfortable with it, so we'll let her talk about her story. Then later on, during the line down the line, I'll bring that back up and have her part of the conversation too, and you know let us understand how does she feel about that topic. So
Okay.
without further
Okay.
ado, let's
Okay.
bring in Stephanie Ann, Warrior Goddess. She wear many hats, many hats. She is a part of the graffiti art, representing the odd partners and doing and the drug crew. Sorry, the odd partners and the drug crew, and that stands for doing righteous under God. Also, she's a political liaison for the Hip Hop Boulevard. Also, she's a part of the Elite Sound International and Elohai Yanim and Impulse Heart Community, which is the dance community. She also manages Dynamax Roberts. We was rehearsing this whole thing for like 5 minutes, making sure I get the name right, and I always messed up on Dynamax, and I finally got it right. And she's also an art broker and curator for Zoom Art, and she does many more. I will let her talk about it. Without further ado, let's bring on Goddess Warrior Stephanie Ann Young. Peace and greetings,
Peace and
sister.
peace and greetings, Empress. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much also.
So thank you so kindly for gracing us with your presence, and I want to say a thank you because for the last few months you have been going through some things, and we had to like postpone it a couple of times, and we was gonna postpone today, but you said, you know what, put me on the schedule. I'm gonna do this, and I want to say I'm so proud of you, and I admire your strength to say, you know what, no matter what, I'm gonna do what I have to do. So tell everyone who you are. You have the stage.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Stephanie Young, Warrior Goddess, as Empress Etoy introduced me. I have a history in New York City in art and hip hop, graffiti art, and it's a beautiful culture that I'm blessed to be a part of, and it's very fulfilling for me. Um, as well as Elohayanim, Everybody is Art, and Impulse Heart Community, which is an expanding community that's been established about 12 years ago, 15 years ago, and it has grown and built. And we've done many parades and lots of beautiful high end immersive theater shows. And then, as you mentioned, Dynamax Roberts, original Herculoid. He's excellent. New album came out. Um, Hip Hop Boulevard, which is a blessing, getting to work with the elected officials of all 5 boroughs in order to help get citations and proclamations for our hip hop pioneers that have sadly been left out a lot. And Hip Hop Boulevard is doing beautiful, great things. Bronx Hip Hop Day is coming up. And more recently, in this last year, I've had a change because of some of my health issues and things that we'll get into. Uh, God and Goddess brought to me a wonderful woman from Serbia who is the CEO of this company, Sum Art, works in the galleries, many galleries. Um, she is an art historian, PhD, and I've been given an opportunity not only to broker the art, but now with these upcoming collections to help curate the art. And I'm very excited about this.
I say, I'm so glad that you're able to still do profound work. You know, that's your testimony. As if you have been going through these ailments, you still persevere through. So, can you? And I want you to just to know this is a safe space, and there are going to be people watching you tell your story, and it's going to be so inspired to keep moving forward. So, can you tell us how the ailments began?
Yes. I have to go back and put it in chronological order just so we can experience the gravity of the darkness that has been pushed onto my mind, body, and spirit in order to thwart me from my missions in life. And that's the way I have now chosen to look at myself, as completely separate from these things. Um, in I was a ballet dancer at I danced for the Royal Academy at Red Bank Ballet Academy in New Jersey, and I danced in England as a young girl at the Royal Academy Yorkshire seminars. So I was a very accomplished young girl getting ready to graduate from being a classically trained ballerina by the Royal Academy of Dance. And a lot of things happened in my family. Marriage of my parents dissolved after 26 years. We moved, my life changed, and I was infected with Lyme's disease in 1988. And that was the beginning of my health journey and my journey to wellness. And it's certainly been a lot. When I was married, had children, and when I was 27, I had an ectopic pregnancy that led to needing surgery. And when I woke up from that, I could no longer urinate, and I was in agonizing pain. Uh, Basically, they said that this surgery woke up a sleeping autoimmune syndrome, which was there from me having chronic Lyme's disease for so long. So I wound up being diagnosed with something called polyglandular autoimmune syndrome type 2. And from 27 to 37, going through what I call Medikill. It's Medikill. They want that when you are my ex-husband worked for nuclear power. So I had like the best insurance in the country. And as a middle American with the best insurance, you don't realize that being on cutting edge medicine means you're the cutting edge. They're learning on you. And I went through what I call Medikill for 10 years, and I was addicted. I was physically damaged. I had had multiple surgeries, treatments, procedures, injections, and I was seeing the best doctors in the country in Philadelphia, the doctor who had written the books about this particular illness. And it really took not understanding that they were treating me with addictive drugs, really, because they wanted to keep learning on me. And if I know, I'm not sure exactly what else they could have done in the first few years where my suffering was so paramount. It has the number one suicide rate of any illness. And, you know, it was a really difficult experience that ultimately destroyed my marriage. And it was a very hard time. So there was certainly um, already periods of healing and redemption and lots of testimonies. But it's interesting how the universe and God bring back around those lessons, especially if you haven't fully learned them. And then it's harder. It's a harder lesson. So it was 2012, I said enough of modern medicine, and I returned to myself, and I began making plant medicine tinctures out of cannabis, and powerlifting. I practiced Hanu yoga, which is a Polynesian form of yoga with a particular breath called Ujjayi breath, and it means victorious breath or ocean breath. And when you do your inhale, in your stomach and your diaphragm and the top of your lungs, and when you exhale, you blow air over your vocal cords, and it makes a sound that vibrates, and it's a combination of breath work and sound healing. And I had just gotten myself to a good place, a great place, and then a pit bull destroyed my right leg. I worked in the salon also back then, beside my work outside of the salon, events, doing makeup for music videos, um, documentaries, things like that. And then I was completely crippled and unable to walk at all for 2 years. It's been 9 years. I'm not fully completed my surgeries yet, but I have had my entire right limb, all my bones in my foot, my ankle, my knee, work in my hip, everything rebuilt. I still have some muscles torn off the bones from my leg collapsing because he broke my bones with his head, and my leg collapsed. And it was an extreme injuries. And I had already had 10 surgeries on my guts. Nothing prepared me for that type of incarceration in my own body, plus the level of suffering, because I wasn't going to take a bunch of opiate painkillers. I had already been there and done that, and stopped in 2012 when I said enough with modern medicine. So here now I was, badly broken, and not wanting to have to be going through the cycle of doctors, surgeries, physical therapy. I didn't want that, but I needed it, and I had no choice. And I'm so grateful for the amazing master craftsmen surgeons that rebuilt my leg bit by bit, and gave me the opportunity to walk again.
Mhm.
uh, I'm just going through them so we can hit on them, because they're big, and then because it's kind of like, I laugh, like there needs to be music for the plot twist, because these types of traumas back to back are powerful learning tools. In 2019, an HVAC company caused a leak in my furnace. I had owned my home for 18 years. I had saved it through my divorce. My son was an MC who was performing all over New York City. Our careers were really on track. And that leak caused double lethal levels of 2 forms of toxic mold and killed our pit bull. And we had to abandon our home in January of 2019. And after Superstorm Sandy, State Farm removed mold coverage from New Jersey. And so they legally denied my claim and got away with it. I lost my home, everything in it, and had no financial compensation for it. That was 5 years ago. I'm still not in my own space. When I lost my home, I wound up in a relationship with one of my oldest friends. It was a trauma bond, and it was extreme domestic violence that wound up even breaking my bones. And I had never experienced violence like that.
It was domestic. It was domestic violence.
Extreme.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
at the same time, I was a New Jersey poison control patient because of the toxic mold poisoning. I'm super ill, lost my home, and then, you know, I had a very hard time. It took 3 years. I was with him 3 years, and I left finally 3 years ago. But also in that time, I was arrested for a crime that I didn't commit during COVID. I have no criminal history. So I am taking it to trial, and I'm dealing with that. But while I was incarcerated during COVID, they had no court. So I had never been in jail before. I spent 5 months and 1 week in jail until I finally got a bond reduction hearing, bonded myself out of jail. The day that I was granted the bond reduction, and 5 days prior to me getting out of jail, my oldest son transitioned from this form, and he was 28.
Yeah. So, wow, you've been through a lot. So I'm quite sure you persevered, and you're still going through some of your challenges. And you know, people go through similar, and some people go through, you know, much worse. And we have a lot of challenges. Something that you mentioned, you didn't call it Medicare, you call it meta death. What did you call that?
Medikill.
Medikill. Yeah, Medikill. Yeah. Because a lot of these pharmaceutical and the health and hospital industry, they're in the business of making money. And when you go to the emergency room, first thing they ask, what's your coverage?
Yes.
Do you have Medicaid, Medicare, or MasterCard, Visa? You're going to write a check. They have now, you know, moved to helping people, and it's a money-making business. And most of the inner cities at one time had many hospitals. And now we have lost a lot of hospitals because of funding. You know, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we lost a lot of funding through hospitals, closing down hospitals, consolidating hospitals. And depending on where you are, particularly if it's an emergency, every second counts.
Absolutely.
From the time you call 911 and the EMTs get there, if they can get there and get to your home or your apartment and put you in the ambulance And if they close down hospitals, whereas it might take maybe 5 or 10 minutes to get to your hospital in your neighborhood, now it may take 30 minutes. Every
Right.
second counts. So we have to put pressure on some of our politicians. Some of them weren't in office, to be fair, but some of them have got elected. And these things we need to bring up. Uh, the opening up. Why are these hospitals closed? Should we open up hospitals? And that those are billions of dollars to even open up hospitals. We are in a dilemma. We're in a crisis in this country, and we don't even realize it. Okay, it's only when we call 911 and realize that, wow, you know, our hospitals have closed.
Right.
And then now it takes the ambulance, and even people don't realize, you when you call for the ambulance, they have to get paid too. Okay, all of these things
They get paid
happen.
a fortune.
Yeah. Everything is about money today. Everything is about money, and so if you don't have coverage, they will still take care of you, but know that you're going to receive a bill in the mail. Okay, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's we are in a crisis, and this just didn't happen. This has been going
Oh
on for
no.
years.
Hmm.
Okay, because I don't, take for example, the borough of Brooklyn. They were religious hospitals that were open at one time. They closed. Many people who are old enough, they remember St. Mary's Hospital, Brooklyn Jewish,
Right.
Interborough Hospital, Kingsbrook. There were a number of hospitals today are no longer around, and they closed, and now they put the burden on these multiple hospitals. Well, excuse me, not multiple, but these limited hospitals like Kings County, Brookdale. Uh, um, Most of these hospitals, they have an overburden with work because some people don't have private doctors. They rely on the emergency room for healthcare. The emergency room is not your doctor, so to speak. They only
Absolutely not.
they only handle emergency care. They're not your doctor, so they're overwhelmed with a lot of things.
And they
And
used to be better
Um,
about helping people with a little bit of extra care to really find out what was wrong with them. Now it's just to make sure you're not in an emergency.
right,
That's
right,
it. You're
right.
out.
Right, right. Because that's not your see. That's the most. A lot of people, through no fault of their own, made the emergency room their primary doctor. That's not your primary doctor, but they're saddled with a lot of work, um, and so they're exhausted, particularly during COVID. And so a lot of these nurses, these medical professionals now have many of them died, and many of them now are so burnt out they are leaving the profession. So I don't want to prolong that, but Etor, because you may have some other things to deal with. I'm quite sure, but it's a lot. It's a lot going on in this country, and we have a
yeah,
lot of
I wanted
problems.
to I wanted to say something. She goddess warrior goddess stated something very profound that I always say. Being trapped in your body. You didn't want to be trapped in your body. And I say every single day, I just want to be free in my body. When I had that nervous breakdown and I had to fight for my life, I felt as though I was a prison. My body was a prison. I could not do what I wanted to do. I could not move how I wanted to move. I couldn't walk to the bathroom without my pressure spiking up. Um, so it's just amazing to hear somebody else say to be, not to be incarcerated within your body. People don't understand what that means. You're supposed to live freely in your body. You're not supposed to be bounded in your body. A lot of people are, and some people don't have the knowledge, but this is why we're here to wake them up as far as, with all these ailments, as far as diabetes, high blood pressure, I have my bout with the high blood pressure every now and again. But when you going through those bouts, it's like you're under a trance. It's like you're under a spell. You cannot do anything. You just have to succumb to that frequency, to that energy. So I just want to say kudos to you for, saying to yourself, I would not be incarcerated within my body. Is People don't understand that, our body is the vessel. Our body is our first home. So we have to do in order to take care of our body, in order to live freely within our body. Um, so thank you for your testimony. Do you have anything else that you want to add to your story?
Well, particularly to that, because interestingly enough, having gone from being so active and so physically active and fit to being completely immobilized, I was in bed and on the couch for 24 months before I could ever put my foot down and even attempt to try and learn to walk again. And then back to surgery, and then back to. So it was repetitive. And it was, at first, there were a lot of things. Here I was, a woman who lived without a man. I had a pit bull. And I lived in a pretty quiet town in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. That's where I owned my home. But the idea of someone coming in and me not being able to fight them off, the fact that I could not move out of my bed, you really go through a lot of emotional changes, powerful learning experiences, and trusting God to get you through those things when you are physically unable to protect yourself anymore. And gratefully, I had a beautiful pit bull she was my best friend, and we communicated on such an amazing level. And I knew that she was going to protect me no matter what it took, if need be. So I had, my son was young at that time, and getting older into his more protective years. It got safer feeling in the house, and I evolved from those original feelings. But that is super serious. And I don't think anyone else has ever fully understood or overstood what I was talking about until you just said that you did. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's no problem, and I truly overstand. When you say emotions came up, when you felt as if though you weren't able to protect yourself, because that's when the fear and the anxiety sets in.
Yes.
As
When
if you have no power, you have no will, and it's just like you have a little one, so it's okay. So I can't protect myself. How can I protect my little one?
I felt, actually, and I've never been one to suffer from anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I have gone through grief, but like clinical depression, I don't really have that. So to go through the experiences of literally feeling like I was drowning in fear, and I can't move, and I can't move, drowning in fear. It was wild. It's wild what happens to the psyche when we're going through these traumas in our bodies and our environments. And I'm still so grateful. I'm so grateful for life. I'm soul grateful for healing and the opportunity to continue healing and to help other people heal, because we were not created to be defeated.
Mm,
We are
mm,
not supposed to live defeated, sorrow filled, anxiety ridden lives. We are fearfully, wonderfully made, divinely guided and protected. We are creator beings with the ability to bend the will of the universe and time and put our own data into the source, the great computer, God, gods and goddesses, however you look at it. We live in a holographic universe that is governed by mathematical waves. So when we realize and we get to the point of knowing, then all of this other stuff, they are only lessons.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely. But we got to get there, and and we need to uh, look inside of ourselves and outside of ourselves. And it's very interesting that you mentioned mathematics. We can't do anything without mathematics. Mathematics is the lifeblood on which this universe is in operation. And there is a creator that created mathematics. And once we understand who the creator is, then we understand mathematics. Because without numbers, we would cease to exist. Okay? Because there's no way that we could build buildings, build bridges, make inventions, even go to outer space. It required NASA, or those sisters in NASA, they called them computers at that time. Well, they formulated mathematics to take a little can, okay? They call it a can loosely, but it was a rocket ship. Because once the three stage rocket, the first part of the rocket, it takes force to get it off the ground. Then you had the second one to get in orbit. Then it's the third stage that gets you into outer space. Without getting too technical, there was no way they could do it without the mastering of mathematics. Okay, and the ancient wise people in the East, or Kemet, the pyramids, whether they're in Mexico or in ancient Egypt, they knew mathematics. So mathematics is the basis of the sciences of life. And we have to understand that we are one with the universe. Our creation, our makeup is part of this universe. And when you look at the word universe and you break it down in a compound word, it has uni, verse. Uni meaning one, verse meaning truth. And the only way we're going to come to this understanding, Sister Stephanie and Sister Etoy, we have to read books. The ancient wise people, the ancient Egyptians, and those who built those great monuments that still stand the test of time, they weren't sitting around just looking in the sky. They formulated thoughts, they read books, they did research, and they studied. And that's what we have to do to come to a conclusion. But if we're unhealthy beings, and this is what we have to be careful about, what we eat mentally, what we eat physically can weigh heavily on our bodies, particularly when we get old. Because a lot of these companies, they're not interested in having us have long life.
No,
That's not their interest.
not at all.
Not at all. So some of these things we would have to make major changes on our own.
So you jumping ahead. You jumping
Oh,
ahead.
okay, okay,
Jumping
okay.
ahead.
All
That
right.
was the next topic. That was the next topic.
Oh, okay.
You see, no, you good. But
All right, all right.
I want her to finish her story.
Okay,
'Cause
okay.
I'm always fired up at the end of the podcast.
Okay.
Don't jump ahead too much. Don't jump ahead too much.
Okay, all right.
So, Stephanie Young, warrior goddess, tell me how. Tell us how. What was the breaking point when you said, you know what, that's it. I gotta take control of my life. I gotta do what I gotta do, and I gotta keep moving forward.
Well, I would say that initially what really changed was when I left Medikill and went on my own journey. But then I had toxic mold poisoning, my jaw broken, and my son transitioned from this form. So here I was back again to a broken state, and I had been incarcerated for half a year. And 3 years ago, it was time to be in complete solitude. And I am super blessed uh, because I lost my home, everything in it, got no money. I had to spend my money on a major court case, an attorney, and now my finances are a big problem, but I'm claiming peace, light, love, healing, flow, abundance.
Mm.
So I'm not even worried about that, but I am super grateful for a friend that I have who I live in a room. I have my own bathroom. This house has a pool, a beautiful kitchen. I'm in Florida. I have to be here. I lived in New Jersey, then Mount Vernon, New York. When I lost my home, I moved from New Jersey to Mount Vernon for a few years. And then I came down here at the beginning of COVID, and I'm still here because of the court case, and I will be here until it is through. And I'm very grateful for this space because it's given me the opportunity to sit alone a lot. I mean, when my friend and landlord, he goes out of the country for work, I might not see another person for 2 weeks until I decide I want to go to the store, you know? But I'm spending my time eating properly, getting in the pool, being in the sun, being in my quiet place, prayers and meditations, reading, listening, channeling, actually, also, and as a wounded healer, helping others heal while I am healing again.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so
Mm.
it was a time that I never ever expected to be in a situation again that was so extremely traumatic. I mean, I knew I would have some trauma, but I just didn't think I would be homeless, ill, facing prison, grieving my son, which is set apart from everything. That is a type of that's a type of pain that's different from all the others.
That's a lot.
So I had to
That's a
make
lot. That's a lot.
I had to make a decision. Like when my leg was broken by the pit bull, I said, either I'm going to get a fish tank or I'm going to kill myself. And it was a joke because I don't have suicide. I mean, I've had suicidal ideation, but I've never I've never been suicidal. So for me, it was because I couldn't move and I could lay in this couch. I needed a fish tank so I could watch my fish swim. And that's a form of meditation for me, my fish tank. I love it. I don't have one right now. I can't wait to have another one again. But this time, with all of this trauma, and then my son transitioning, it was actually either I want to not be alive anymore, or I'm going to reach back inside of me and pull out the God particle that makes me a creator being and put my own data into my own movie and video game or whatever you want to call it, because I am tired of the uh, external data being forced upon me by this. And it really is what it is. And it culminates in all these traumas for people because of how distorted it really is. But it is a dark spell over humanity.
Mm.
And it's done through even the English language. It's a spell. It's a, it,
I'm sorry to cut your wisdom. I'm
no.
sorry to cut your wisdom. But I just because before I lose it, I wanted to touch on what you said about you putting your energy into it. People don't understand how important that law of attraction is, about how we have so much power of no matter what. Oh my God, the book is where the book is at. Oh, the book is right there. Oh my goodness. I've been knew about the law of attraction, for quite some time, but I think I was taking advantage of it. I was hanging out with my cousin Clemmy, love you cousin, and we went to her aunt's house, and I just was having, about like, oh, why me, why me? This was in the beginning of the year. I was struggling between should I do this or should I do that, and one of the things was should I just go for my dream, leave everything that is a liability and only keep the assets. And the book that she gave me is by Esther and Jerry Hicks, and it's called Acts and It Is Given. And as I'm
Yeah.
already meditating and downloading, what my spirit and my ancestors, like, you have the key, you are the testimony, you are the energy, you are the frequency, like you are the magic, you can will anything that you want. And then here she go and she gives me this book, and as I'm reading this book, I'm just like, wait a minute. And one thing that it says in this book, it says it doesn't matter where you are, what situation that you in. They said you could be in prison, you can have cancer, you could be destitute, you can manifest anything that you want in this life, anything that you want. And it's our emotions that is causing the that is our it's our emotion that is causing the manifestation that's coming into our life. So if we are always angry and mad and sad, this is what we are attracting in our life. So I started to say, fuck that. I'm not listening to anything negative. If you are negative, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If you ain't got
Go
nothing
over there.
positive, if you're not trying to feed me something positive, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because I'm trying to manifest something so great in my life. And if you are not adding to that, then you don't need to be over here. Period. And sometimes people don't understand you have to be selfish. You have to be selfish when it comes to your self development and your self growth. So I'm sorry, I just had to, I'm always quiet in the beginning, but at the end, I'm always fired up.
No, I
So
love
go
that
ahead, warrior
because
goddess. Sorry about that.
no, I love that. And I want to expand on what you just said, particularly because I would love for you to change your thought just a hair and realize it is not selfish. That's a negative word. So, and that's another
No,
thing
I
is
didn't say
when you
selfish. I
said
said people think it's selfish.
no, they do. Oh yeah, people think it's so. No, right. We loving our actually sitting with our darkest self in our most difficult times and learning to heal with your shadow self and love yourself first. It is a gift to the
Mm-hmm.
world. It's a gift to humanity, and it's a gift to help other people heal. And the other thing too is recognizing that not only the things we attract from our mindsets, but what's actually been forced upon us by this
Well,
system of darkness.
I'm glad you mentioned that, the system of darkness. Now we get into some spirituality. And for those out there, I'm not talking about a spook or Casper the ghost.
Right.
I'm talking about an invisible entity that consumes us. And like you said, Sister Stephanie, what we need to do is to isolate ourselves through prayer and meditation and read and study. As I said often on this podcast and in private meetings and lectures that I give occasionally, our problem as human beings is from the neck up. From the neck up. And until we understand that the healing begins with us, the temple is here, not in a mosque or masjid for Muslims, not for a church, in a church, I should say, or a synagogue, or any other religious sanctuary. That's just brick and mortar. That's a place where you go to be inspired, to go home and refill yourself with the spirit of what you've been taught. But the temple, the church, the mosque is this body. This is why we have to relearn what we've been taught, because the social structure has damaged all of us. And it's intentional. It's intentional. From the time we grow up as little children, we sit in front of that television and what we witness as children. I know when I was coming up, I only can speak for myself and many others out there, because they have corrected some of the damage, but sometimes damage is already done. But a lot of the cartoons I used to watch, on the surface, it was innocent. But imagine Bugs Bunny beating someone over the head with a baseball bat. You as a child witness all of this trauma and you laugh, and your parents put you in front of the TV set and you witness explosions, throwing them off of cliffs. What I'm saying is we become desensitized to trauma. So when we go outside in the neighborhood and we see someone beaten viciously, we laugh about it. Now, because of social structure, now we put it on Facebook and Twitter, okay? Because we have become desensitized. We, as Sister Stephanie said, we need to isolate ourselves. I didn't say from the world, but isolate ourselves temporarily until we heal each other or heal ourselves. But we have to first know ourselves. And there's a book, many books out there that deal with knowing self. And so we have to really rebuild from within. We have to do that. Some of us don't even know where to begin. Some of us don't even know where to begin. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Because
traffic control.
Yeah, absolutely. That's your job. That's your job.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, go ahead.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So now I want to talk about, what are you doing now, Stephanie? What are you doing now, positive? For yourself, for the community,
now
talk about your redemption, talk about your, your glory.
Well, for me, having these opportunities that have grown in the last years, particularly the opportunities that have come through Hip Hop Boulevard, as well as managing Dynamax Roberts, and being, I have never been an art broker in fine arts. My history is, it is street art, graffiti art, body art, event, live painting, stuff like that. But the opportunity to move into the fine art world and then even expand on it after the first year, as having the opportunity to help curate $1 million collection, is something that I didn't expect to happen in my life, but I knew that God was going to bless me and continue to pour out abundance and healing and flow if I continually got in my quiet space and I continually was, what it takes? Just being real about your gross self. That's it. Seeing
Mm-hmm.
yourself, seeing the grossness about yourself, recognizing that we have had programming since we were children, because the television is a spell, it's a program, the whole construct, all of it's nonsense, and it's division, and it's horrible, and it's stomping on people's heads instead of pushing up people, and recognizing that it is really truly about oneness. It's oneness. We are mirrors of each other. And it doesn't matter where you come from or what your skin color is. We are spirit beings that are mirrors of one another, that are supposed to live in community together to heal and prosper. And we live in the earth is vibrating higher than it ever has before, and people who are healing and ascending, who are maybe vacillating between 3D, 4D, and 5D, as we move to the infinite, the prismal field, because this is this is happening whether we want to recognize it or not. We are ascending and our vibration is higher, and people are changing, and it's an interesting time to be alive. At the same time, the darkness like has claws and really wants to wreak as much havoc as possible, and we see that across the world, and we know it's happening at the highest levels of government. Disgusting things are going on. Child human trafficking, all of this, slavery, everything, as well as keeping forbidden knowledge from people. I mean, there's a small percent out of the entirety of, and especially in America, I can't really speak so much for other countries, but people are really trapped in their 9 to 5, watching their show when they get home, drinking beer, bred in circuses, and they will never revolt, you know? So when you break free of the program and you realize, like, the photon tests, when they do tests with photons through a double slit, they go through and they create a wave pattern until they put a camera on it. Then the photons actually go back in time and turn themselves back into particles because they don't want to be watched. But if we watch them with our eyes, they dance and they're brilliant. And maybe what's behind me is collapsing behind me as a holographic structure. But the whole point is is time fluxes, and it actually dances. Light,
Time is not linear.
yeah, it is not linear. And light dances for us. It's brilliant, and it is what is in us, and the light wins. And if we know the light wins, and we can live in the knowledge that heaven is a dimension, or what heaven on earth is, it's dimensional. It's being able to see other dimensions through our 3D eyes. Maybe if we are meditating, or plant medicine experiences for healing, or whatever it is. I did go to the Mojave Desert and consume dimethyltryptamine in the Mojave Desert and had a great healing experience. I've received Cambo Gates. I've had a lot of plant medicine healing experiences. Some were challenging physically, but if we just continue to have the awakening that we are the creator and controller of our universe, and God makes the path straight before us, but I believe we have to be in motion. So, and then the universe conspires with us for whatever it is we
Mm,
are saying. This is
mm.
it. Like you said, you want to create the most beautiful life for yourself, the greatest thing. The universe conspires with us, truly. We just have to get it flowing,
Yep.
because then it's just mathematics again in the air, you know? So
Yes. You're absolutely right. And I wanna thank you for that. You are truly have a testimony and you are truly redeeming yourself. Thank you for the work that you are doing, especially you are part of the pioneers of hip hop. You know, uh People don't know how much work you do behind the scenes, hence, you two, unless you actually talk about it. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to say? Because we're getting ready to come to a close. After I talk about this subject before we came on air, I have to get this off my chest. So is there anything else that you like to add?
I just want to really thank you for having me, and both of you for
Thank you for
what
coming.
you've
Thank you.
it was my pleasure. And we need to keep creating safe spaces for people so that other people we can as community heal together. So I really appreciate what work you're doing here, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It's
Thank
very
you.
inspiring.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
you.
appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it very much. Appreciate it very much.
El Haj Saladin, because we getting ready
Yeah.
to jump into something. So Stephanie, do you want to be a part of this conversation? Because I would love to hear your input. Because we're about to turn
Sure.
it up right now.
Okay.
All right,
Yep.
cool.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
so, um, so I took a nice walk. So I'm doing my little steps. Um, and I walked far. Normally I'm driving everywhere. Last week El Haj, we ran into each other. He was like, "I'm seeing you." I said, "Listen, I'm always zip, 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 zip. I'm always driving here, driving there." So I did my steps. Now, El Haj, we live in the same neighborhood. So I walked to Rockaway Parkway, right? And this heat. Is everybody all right today from this heat? Because I walked in this heat, trying to get my steps in, trying to get back into my old self. So now here comes the turning point. As I'm walking there, I'm taking stops. It's funny how you said when you slow down, Stephanie, and you're alone. Normally, I'm just like I said, I'm zipping everywhere and I don't sit anywhere. So I sat on the bench in the park, was under the trees, going through my thoughts and seeing what's the next best calculated move. So then moving forward, now I get to the area where it's the shopping area. So the first thing I do is I go into the fish market, being I'm detoxing. I didn't get any fish, but I got them to steam my food. So when I get in there, it's owned by Chinese people, but there's Mexican people working in there. Okay, pay him. And then I go to the a few stores down to a vegetable stand. I go in. He had to be some kind of Indian. I can't remember maybe Hindu or something like that. I pay, I'm in there, but I'm asking questions, and I ask a lot of questions, and he seems as though I was frustrating him. So okay, moving forward, and his prices was high. Moving forward, give him my money. Go to the next store. Now, the next door, it was Chinese, Arabs. I paid him my money. He seemed as though as I was aggravating him because I'm trying to make sure I'm getting my money together. I gotta take my time. So I'm just like, what the is going on with these people? Moving forward, I go to the next door across the street, and these is my Arab dudes where I get my oils, my incense, and things of that nature. I was in there conducting business with them. They made me feel like my money is appreciative. So long story short, as I'm walking back, I was saying to my, oh, so what the trigger would happen was when I'm in the store with the Chinese and other other Indian and Islam and Arabs, not black, what I would say, not African American, none of them look like me. I have been noticing for years that when you go into these stores, your product is watered down, i.e., the dish detergent, laundry detergent, things of that nature, mainly liquid, right? So I'm putting things up. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is lower than this, and this one is higher than that. And me, I know that Ajax and Palmolive is not hand pouring it. I know they are a manufacturer and they have machines pouring it, and they gonna stop it to a certain height. So being that I'm going like this is all liquid, and some is lower, some is higher, things of that nature. I said, see, I know this company, this store right here is ciphering the detergent, adding water to it, and taking it and sending it back to their country, and they overpricing it. And you come in here into these black neighborhoods, these African American neighborhoods, you don't respect us, you don't appreciate our black dollars, um you don't appreciate our black dollars. You raise the prices. You're giving us poor quality. Uh, you're giving us poor quality. I'm sorry, I got a whole bunch of things going over here. Products, and then when we ask a question, you look at us like we got three heads. And I walked, and as I'm walking, I said, I don't like this. I said, every store that I walked in today, it was not black owned. It was not African American owned. Every store that I walked in today in the black neighborhood was not by my people. And then I said to myself, we cannot go to nobody else's neighborhood and open up a business. These people come here from, and I'm not knocking nobody. I'm not knocking nobody. Because right now I'm talking to my people right now. We cannot go to no Jew, to no Hispanic, and I love my Hispanic. My oldest son's father's Hispanic. We can't go to no Chinese, no Indian, none of they neighborhoods and set shop up and make money. How we make money off of them. So now I'm walking back. I said, "Oh yeah," and I remember this supermarket. Now there's a supermarket around my way. Every year there's an organization named Man Up around the neighborhood. Who gives back to the community to the community. They are boot on the ground. Okay. These are old ex incarcerated men who is doing great work in the community. Great work. It's a multi-million dollar business now. They have initiatives with the White House and things of that nature. So they always do community events, at least 2-3 times a month. And they have different locations all throughout Brooklyn and Queens, and different initiatives throughout the United States. Let me not forget that. So they went to the supermarket around my way and said to them, and said to them, hey, we having a Halloween event. Can you donate, some candy, for the kids? The owner said no, they don't do that. They said, really? The kids come here every day. The community support your business. You can't give back. The owner said no. A little while after that, they started even helping people with employment. So they went there. So they're trying to make contracts and deals with the businesses around there, so that the community could get employed by their these businesses that's here and within their community. The same supermarket, the same owner said he don't hire black people. He only hire Hispanic people. Really? And you feeding us nasty ass food. I don't eat meat anymore, except if it's not a pescatarian, not if it's not fish. So when you go in there and being that I haven't eaten meat in so long, it smells like death to me. To see the nastiness on this red meat, it's not even bright red, it's brown. That's number one. Your prices are so damn high. And you mean to tell me you making millions off of this community and you cannot hire not one black person? Only people you're going to hire is Hispanic? Are you fucking kidding me? So I was getting infuriated walking back, and I said I have to talk about this on my podcast today. I said I can't wait till next week. I have to do this now. So what I'm saying is to my people, what are we gonna do about that? What are we
Well,
gonna
nothing.
do?
Nothing.
Are we just gonna sit around and we gonna complain about it? Or you said
Nothing.
nothing? See
Nothing.
that? See, this is what it like.
Nothing.
And what else? And what I do also want to say is because one more. Let me get one more. Let me get one. This last one because you know how I get. I sit quiet all and to the end I'm fired up. When there is a black business, our black people don't support. When I used to get my hair wrapped, my little washer set, my little doobie back in the days, I ain't even gonna lie to you. There was this black beauty into the Dominicans. But this is the mind frame that I had back then. Because I said, oh no, she's not gonna set my hair right. She's not gonna wash and set my hair right. Why? Why would I think like that? Where did I get that mind frame from? Not to support my people, but I could support this Spanish lady who may gonna talk about me in Spanish. Well, I can't hear her to her other sister, her other people, and that has happened. So I ain't get my hair done by them people in a long time. As you can see, I got locks, and before I had locks, I stopped getting my hair done by them 10 years prior to that. But what I'm saying is, I haven't gotten my nails done in about 3 weeks. I love my girl Bobo. Not 3 weeks, about 3 months. I love my girl Bobo, but I'm just like, I know so many African American women who I see. My daughter is affiliated with one of them. She grew up with them. I could go to her and support her and put money in her pocket. What I'm saying is these people, not these people, these because they all God's children. Because I'm fired up. Let me just get it together. These different communities spend money and circulate their dollar within their community, and that's how they stay rich. And we, supply that. And what I'm saying is, we gotta get it together. And then it brought me back to another thing. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm just so passionate about this. When we had our own, for instance, Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they bombed us. They bombed us. So it's like when we was doing it, so now it leaves an impact that we can't even have our own because they gonna come for us. And it's just like, when are we gonna stand up? It's like, when are we gonna stop being afraid? When are we gonna be able to do what we have to do so that we can create generational wealth within our community? That's all I'm saying. I just had to get that off my chest. Yeah, I have the floor. to
Okay.
to
Well,
comment rebuttal, while I finish working over there behind the scenes.
Right.
Black Labor,
Black label,
White
white
Wealth
wealth.
by
Hmm.
Dr. Claude Anderson. For the audience out there, we have to know why we're in this predicament. It didn't just happen all of a sudden. We had more businesses, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters out there, under segregation, because we had to do for self under segregation, meaning that all of the businesses was in our community, from the insurance broker to the undertaker to the doctor to the lawyer to the preachers. In other words, we did for self. But when integration came, we abandoned all of our businesses, and it was not reciprocated by the Caucasians because they were not going to come in our neighborhood and support us. So we abandoned most of the businesses that was thriving in our community, and we went downtown, and it was never reciprocated. And not only that, we lost the will to do for self. And we think it's a crime to spend money with each other. And like you said, these other immigrants, those people who come from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, North and South Korea, from China, from parts of the Arab world, parts of the African world, they come to enrich themselves. They're not interested on people who have been born here. They already come with a culture and an identity to do for self. So when they open up these businesses, they're not interested in hiring us. We had leaders that came among us to wake us up to do for self, but we saw them as black capitalists. We saw them as hating other people. Mr. Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said many different things, but he said business is warfare. And you may say to yourself, what are you talking about? Well, if you have Coca-Cola Bottling Company and you got Pepsi-Cola, these are two different franchises. They're going to be at war with one another. Business is warfare. No different if you have Nabisco and Sunshine Cookies. They're going to be in business. Business is warfare. So we have to understand when we go into business in the black community, we're not going to be untouched. If you open up a nail salon, know that our Korean, the people from Korea, those are the ones who wash your feet, scrape all that crap off your feet and paint your toes and do your nails. These people will be at war with you. Because now if you open up a nail salon, first of all, they're going to go at war with you because you're cutting into their profit. But if our people find where they hate themselves, and let's say, Etor, you open up a nail salon, they won't support you. Your own people that look like you, they're going to go to the Korean. And the Korean is wise enough to maybe even undercut the price that you are charging. So business is warfare. We at war. Mm-hmm. And so like the brothers who man up, like you said, went into the supermarkets, well, our people shop there. But let me tell you something, what Adam Clayton Powell said, the great congressman who transitioned. He said in Harlem, do not shop where you can't work. Don't shop. And they did boycotts. Martin Luther King did boycotts. We have to find a way to do for ourselves. Don't blame them. Don't blame the Chinaman who comes in and sell Chinese food through a damn dark ass, dirty plexiglass window. And he don't even eat the food that he served you. And you get the fried chicken wings, and he don't even have the decency to singe the hair off the chicken. Having dirty oil that has to be changed periodically. I worked in the steak and take restaurant, and we had to change the oil in the deep fryer. If not, your chicken and your fish will come out brown. It would be so bad that it would break up. You know when the oil is changed in these fast food franchises, when it comes out golden brown. But they save money because they know those big gallons, they have to change it. It's very expensive. We have to boycott some of these stores. We have to say enough is enough. Treat us like you treat yourself. But we have to understand we have to also do for ourselves. But know that if we do for self, we're going to go to war. Because business is warfare on every level. And I'll tell you this, and I'll let Sister Stephanie, she want to say something. We had what was called the Negro League. Jackie Robinson was one of the great players, but there were many other players. Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson. There were many other players in the Negro League. For those who don't know what the Negro League is black baseball. Before Jackie Robinson signed with the Brooklyn Dodgers, when Brooklyn had a baseball team. But they went to war. Because they knew that if the Negro League would have existed separately, most people would have went and seen these great players. So they wind up bringing Jackie Robinson as a premier player, and many of our people left the Negro League stadiums, the hot dog stadiums, the popcorn stadiums, and went to these European or Caucasian Major League Baseball franchises. We abandoned the businesses. And many great players, because many of them had to work other jobs. What I'm saying is, because I don't want to be long-winded with this topic, we wind up doing ourselves a disservice. There were many other communities besides Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had black businesses in Brooklyn, the Weeksville. We had many different communities. Okay, but when integration came, we gave up all of the businesses, and it was not returned in kind. We did major damage, and more importantly, the self-hatred kicked in, where I don't want to see you, Etoy, with a Mercedes Benz. I don't want to see you thriving. So I'll go. In other words, let me sum it up this way. I won't come to you because the ice is colder with the Chinese man. Well, we know ice freezes at 32 degrees. But if I have a hatred for myself, when I look at myself, I'm not going to see you thrive. The battle is here. It's a spiritual battle. And it has manifested itself externally. That's why those merchants went to those brothers, or the brothers went to them and said, listen, we're not supporting you. We don't care. But it takes us to boycott these stores and say, listen, if you don't treat us with dignity and respect, we will walk maybe another 3 or 4 blocks. Or maybe we'll do without. Maybe instead of buying sneakers every month, we'll decide that maybe, you know what? Maybe I need to wear these sneakers until they fall apart, until you all do better. We have to make them. If they don't want to do it, go into business for yourself. But know that you're going to go to war with these franchises. Let me say this. Let me sum this up. We had I don't know who owned them, but many of you know, we had a bottling beverage called Tropical Fantasy. Tropical Fantasy they had 16-ounce sodas. They were charging maybe 35 cents. And you know what? They went to war, war was declared on them. They went to war with the Coca-Cola bottling company, Pepsi, Schweppes, and all of these other bottle companies. Why? Because their product was in the store and they was charging almost $2 for a 16-ounce soda. Tropical Fantasy was charging 35 cents, maybe 50 cents. They went to war and put out misinformation, told our community, black and brown, and maybe some whites, Caucasians, that the ingredients in that bottle was causing sterilization. You know, Tropical Fantasy took a major hit.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah, because we're talking about business is warfare. Remember, listen, when you go into business, you are upsetting the social structure. You remember Tropical Fantasy. But before Tropical Fantasy, Pepsi Cola went to war with Coca-Cola. Absolutely. We're at war. Business is warfare. They want us to be consumers, not producers. And even when we produce, we go to war with our people because now it becomes a psychological warfare. Whether or not, where did you get your fish from, brother? Sister Etoy? If I go on your fishing trip, where you get your fish from? Well, you didn't ask the Korean man where he get his fish from. I get the fish from the same waters that he get it from. But you're dealing with psychological challenges that our people have harbored. It's not just children. Many of us grow up with a inferiority complex. We got to go to war to get people to even buy our fish, our chicken. Okay? Many of our brothers who were NBA stars were going to war with Nike and Converse and Reebok. There were some of our NBA stars were charging maybe $50 for their sneaker. And most of us didn't want to buy it because we said, wait a minute, why would I want to buy a sneaker for $50? Something must be wrong with it. It must be created or put together with some inferior product. But most of those NBA players, they love their people and they didn't want to break our bank. They didn't want the parents to be broke buying $200 and $300 sneakers. But because of the way we were trained, we say, you know what? Nah, I'm not buying those sneakers for $50. And guess what? Where he was getting them put together is in the same damn factory that Nike and Reeboks get theirs put together. But because we don't understand business is warfare in every level, even down to communication, CNN, MSNBC, they go to war with one another. We're talking about ratings. That's warfare. And let me say this, and I'll be quiet. The word campaign, its root, is warfare. Whether it's Mr. Trump Kamala Harris, Democrat, Republican, it's warfare. They want your vote. So they'll tear each other down. And we wind up going to war with each other. I'm not going to talk to you because you voted for Donald Trump or you vote for Kamala Harris. These people don't even know us. Why are we going to go to war with each other? What we should be going to war over is ideas. So let me back up because I'm long-winded. But I just had to put it out there, ladies and gentlemen. In any endeavor, I don't care if it's soap, I don't care if it's dishwashing liquid. If you and I and Stephanie create dishwashing liquid, and I'm gonna tell you something, I'm gonna be frank with you. If all three of us created dishwashing liquid, we may have to put Sister Stephanie in front of that camera. Because most of our people probably want to buy it from me and you. They'll buy it from Stephanie. Look how Stephanie look. I'm gonna keep it real. Okay? They probably would buy it from her. Why? Because of the conditioning process, the ghost of slavery, the ghost of self-hatred. We may have to put her out front. I don't care if we're selling sneakers. I don't care if we're selling toilet paper. We may have to put her out front because of the destruction of the soul, of the psychic, because that's where it begins, inside. In order for me to hate someone, where I don't want you to prosper, Etoy or Stephanie, it has to come from within. We have to make a radical change spiritually. So I'll back up and just, because I'm long-winded. But I had to mention that out there, brothers and sisters.
Thank you.
Business is warfare. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yes,
You're welcome.
thank you for that. I appreciate that. I knew that as I was thinking about it, I said, nah, I gotta talk about this on my podcast. So Stephanie Young, Warrior Goddess, I know you have something you want to say to that. Well, do you have something you want to say to that?
I do, and it's difficult, for me because I'm white, and honestly, even though my early years, I grew up a certain way, and then my teenage years, I lived in the city, and I, grew up a different way. But no matter what, I'm still white, and I am able now, especially, I always recognized, but it's hidden knowledge. It's literally just hiding your history, not only from yourselves, but the rest of the world. It's the destruction of the family. It is a psyop of a complete brainwashing system and programming, self-hatred, and then it's damaging anything you build. I don't know how it has gotten to go on for this. I just don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. That generational wealth has been hoarded by really, a group of people who have then taken it to brainwash the rest of humanity. So I'm sorry that you guys are going through that you're still going through that. And all I can say is I apologize for the disgusting behavior of others. And as a person who absolutely is in love with all people, because I just love all people, and I love sharing space with all different people and getting to know one another and healing. That's what we have to do together. And by bringing awareness to it, like you did here on your podcast and the things you shared, it is not only is it warfare, but it just took them to be wealthier and destroy everything else. Just destroy it. Nikolai Tesla, destroy it. Let Edison succeed. Change history. All we live on a history from, like, you know, the late 1800s, 1901, Rockefellers, Carnegies, the whole, like, that's our education system. Like, it is his story. And until we separate ourselves and homeschool our children, and there's like a list of things that have to go on, and the first thing we have to do is unite.
Mm, mm,
And I know that it comes from a different perspective, because you were saying that these changes happened after integration, but so did the CIA dumping crack into the communities and locking people up and sending them all over the place so their families can't even go visit them, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the television shows constantly brainwashing the masses. All sorts of things happened in order to be here today. So I don't ever take offense for when people say, no, integration wasn't good. But at the same time, I love you. So I want to be integrated with you. So I think it's just got to be healing. And I don't know where it starts, but it starts with love.
mm,
I
mm,
say,
mm,
and I
mm.
want you to know, Stephanie, that you are the first and only white person on my show.
Oh, I've been there before, so thank you. Uh, and I appreciate you letting me speak on things that really, but
So, but but I knew you was different though. I knew you was different. So you got that. Let me tell you something. During slavery, you give me. Let me tell you the energy that you give me. During slavery, they had the Quakers, and the Underground Railroad, and they was helping us, escape. So I got some friends that be like, no, fuck that, fuck the, and I'm just like, well, somewhere, away, somewhere along the line, it's just like we can't be mad at every goddamn body. So you, like, your energy was always good. You always supportive. Your energy just seemed real. And it's just funny because I was not I if I didn't take that walk today, we would not be talking about this right now. And I said to myself, oh my God, I'm gonna have Stephanie on, the warrior goddess, and I don't want to offend her, but I'm saying to myself, this is what my podcast is about. I cannot be fake and phony to myself and not say it. So that's why I said, you know what? I'm going to, before we go on, I'm going to tell her this is what I want to talk about, at the end. And then she could just chime in if she wants to, if she feels comfortable. So thank you for sticking around for that conversation. I greatly appreciate
thank
you.
you for letting me chime in.
But that's
I
all good.
appreciate you so much,
I
That's all
appreciate
good.
you
both
too.
of you. Thank
Yes.
you so
It,
much.
yeah. Um, we as a people, we have to somehow find a way that there's manipulators who who want this racism to keep going. Because
Yep,
the people at the top, they're laughing while they go to the bank. They laugh
absolutely.
because there was a brother, Sister Stephanie and Sister Etoy. His name was um oh God, what's his name? Oh boy, it'll come to me in a minute. Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton had a chapter, Black Panther chapter in Chicago, Illinois. It was called He was the first one. Obama and Reverend Jesse Jackson took his idea. They got the idea from him, the rainbow. But Fred Hampton and his chapter had a meeting with the hillbillies. There's a book. They were from the Appalachia. They were from the mountains. They were Caucasians. They came down and met with him. But the social structure and the government said, well, wait a minute. He's a Black Panther. They're the Panthers. And these hillbillies who don't like Black folks because they bought into misinformation too. But somehow or another, Fred Hampton was able to convince those hillbillies that we all in the same plight. You might be pale skinned on Black, but the social structure, the people who put us in this predicament, fighting, going to war with one another, they're manipulating both of us. I'm just summing up what Fred Hampton was trying to put together. He had a meeting, and the powers that be, you mentioned them early on, the CIA, the counterintelligence program, and other interests said we got to put a stop to that. And unfortunately, Fred Hampton was brutally murdered. His lieutenant, Mark Clark, was killed sleeping in their bed. And so they have to keep this division going. You may say, well, who? The people that's listening out there. Because there's a book called The Unseen Hand by Ralph Apperson. There are a lot of unseen forces at play. And they want to keep this going. Yeah. As when we understand that we have a common interest, we're all part of humanity. We are one humanity. The human family of the planet Earth. The human family of the planet Earth. It's not based upon, Allah says in the Holy Book, the Quran, He says that, O ye who believe, I created you into tribes and family that you should know one another. But the best in my sight, best in God's sight, is who is most dutiful. Not who's the blackest, not who's the whitest, is those who are dutiful towards Him, the Creator. Not how black you are, not how pale you are, white you are. It's about duty. It's about doing what is right. And until we understand that and come together, we can change this. Because we always, from the time we came to these shores in chains, we always had a relationship with Caucasian people. Caucasian people on the plantation, they ate cornbread, collard greens. You know who cooked that food? Okay. So we had this relationship. So we have to come together. We're not going to get everybody, but we have to make a start. Yes, go ahead, Etoy, because I know you're the traffic controller. Yes.
I'm over here on mute, back here. Oh God. So we have to come to a close. You know, I always say an hour, but we always go over an hour.
Yes. Yes.
But you know what? That's because the conversation be so good. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you to you both. Stephanie, thank you so much. I want to say, yes, you are a warrior goddess. Everything that you have been through, and you are still here, and you are still pushing through. You're still, a part of new and different initiatives. So I just want to say kudos to you.
Thank you so much. Kudos and keep spreading the knowledge and coming out here. And I just want to say, you just got to add, it was the FBI that set up those murders. So when, when you have the people who have the money and the control of the media, it takes a different mindset to detach from it. And until we make these changes, and I believe that we are heading there, but it's going to get ugly before it gets better.
Yes.
Uglier. Yes. Scary to even say that, but it's what I believe.
Yeah, it's going to get ugly because that's their trump card. I hate to say, okay, no point intended.
Pun intended.
Right. But those of you who play cards, that's a trump card, right? That's all they have left is race. Because once that's over, it's over. Once we see our humanity,
the ants stay and the grasshoppers leave.
There you go. You go. There you go.
Yeah,
it's over.
We join arms and change things. I'm here. Right. I'm here for it.
Okay.
All right, sister. All right. So I
All
just
right.
want to
Thank
say
you.
thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna put you both backstage again.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
all
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Um, every time we do a show, the show is just gets better and better.
Thank you. Thank you. And I
Better.
have to say this. Hopefully that people will tell other people about this podcast. I know there's other
Yes.
podcasts out there. We have a menu, but don't underestimate Sister Empress Etoy. And
Yes.
just
Thank
keep
you.
watching because we're here to enlighten each other. Each one teach one, each one reach one. Thank you so much, Sister Etoy and Sister
Ashe.
Stephanie. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank
Good.
you. Thank
All
you. I
right.
appreciate you both so much. I'm going to
Thank
hit
you.
you guys up in a second. I'm
All
just
right.
going to put
Thank
you
you.
backstage. All right. So that was another wonderful show. Thank you to everyone that's still here. I always say 1 hour, but we always go over. Listen, I didn't go over 2 hours this time. Normally be like 2:15, 2:17, 2:10, 2:05. It's in the 1:41 right now. So we're gonna cut this short real quick. August 24th, August is a pretty big month for me, and I was over here. Probably saw me making crazy faces. I was trying to upload the fly that I'm going to be hosting on August 24th. But if I upload it from my phone, that means I gotta log in. Then y'all would have saw me log in, and then it would look unprofessional, and I had to take it off, and then it'd been echoing. So I just said, you know what, forget it. That's all my bad. That's what I get. I should have been did it earlier. So it's a cream and white affair. I'm so mad I don't got the flyer up because the flyer is so bomb. It's a cream, white, and gold affair. It's hosted by me, your one and only, and also Jay Lyrical, powered by We Got Work to Do. The CEO is Nat Fisher, my boy from the Bronx. Yes, this is going to be in the Bronx. It says the greatest and dopest party of the year. It's going to be live performances. It's going to be comedy, live music. Doors open at 5. The show starts at 6. It's a $20 entry, and it's going to be at Nama Studios, Nama, Nama Studios, or 107 West 130th Street, in Harlem. It's going to be in Harlem. Sorry about that. They from the Bronx, but they're going to do it in Harlem. Yes, you know how I feel about Harlem since forever. Yeah, I know I love my Harlem people. My father used to live in Harlem. I got family in Harlem. And I love the boogie down Bronx just as much as I love my Brooklyn. I'm a Brooklynite always and forever. So again, I'm so sorry I don't got this dope flyer up. Can you see it? Can you see it? No, no, maybe it's a little bit. No, nah, it ain't working. So that's Saturday, August 24th. It's a cream, white, and gold affair. It's a show hosted by me, Empress Etoy, and also Jay Lyrical. And it's powered by We Got Work to Do. The CEO is Nat Fisher. The doors open at 5 p.m. Show starts at 6 p.m. $20 entry at Nama Studios or 107th West 130th Street in Harlem. And when they throw this is my second time. He always having a show. He always having a showcase. When I had a showcase at Hollow Nights, he was the photographer and the videographer. And ever since we always been bouncing off of each other. I love his queen. We all cool, we all family. And I hosted one of his shows. And it was so beautiful. It was such a good vibe. It was just awesome. So next week I will have the flyer up to be able so y'all can see it and maybe screenshot the information. But y'all know what I always say. We gotta come to a close. Y'all know what I always say at the end. Have you done anything for yourself today? Have y'all done anything for yourself today? Because I was just speaking to an old friend of mine, last night, and they sound just like me. They had to take time for themselves because they always taking care of everybody else, always pushing their problems to the side to make sure everybody else is straight. And then we have to be able to make sure that we do what we need to do for us, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. So as we go to work, if you work for somebody, that takes at least 12 hours out of your day. Why? Because you got to wake up. You got to wake up out the bed. And if you're like me, I can't just wake up and pop up like I used to. I gotta wake up and I gotta get my shit together. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I gotta wake up. I'll sit there for a few minutes. I say a little prayer before my feet touch the floor. And after I do that, I still gotta lay there. My body has to catch up with me knowing that it's time to get up and do what I have to do. Because that's the most important part of the day for me. Before I give my energy to everything else, let me take this time for me. What do I want? What do I want to do? How do I want to manifest my day today? Let me conserve my energy because I had to remember I am not a slave. I don't have to pop as soon as I wake up and open my eyes. Oh, gotta run the massa. No. So it takes at least you 12 hours a day if you just to give to somebody. It's only 24 hours. So half the day you giving your time to somebody else. Then you gotta get ready. If you got kids, you gotta make sure they get ready. Then you gotta commute to work. Then once you get to work, you gotta spend 8 to 10 hours a day, depending if you're doing overtime or not. Then after that, then you gotta get home. You gotta commute back to home. If you gotta pick up groceries, then you gotta go to the supermarket or wherever you're gonna go. Then after that, then you gotta come home. You gotta cook the food. Then after that, if you have children, you may have to do homework with them. If hubby is not doing homework with the kids, and then after that, how much time do you have for yourself? Literally, how much time do you have for you to think, to put your plans in motion, to say, you know what, I'm going to set this time for me. We only have 24 hours in a day. How much time of it are you giving to everyone else? How much time are you allotting to you? Because we have been born to get up, go to work, go make somebody else's dream come true and make them $1 million instead of putting all that energy back into ourselves. So I always say, what have you done for you today? Is there anything that you always wanted to do, but you felt as if though you couldn't do it? Whether it's because of age, whether it's because of your environment, whether it's because of, monetary funds. Yo, but I'm telling you right now, or you have the power to will that. And yes, and once you start willing that, it's going to be things and obstacles that's going to come in your way to make you think that you're crazy or you're a liar. Trust me. Keep going. Keep going. Do what you need to do for you. Do what you want to do for you. Whatever feels good within your spirit, whatever feels good within your soul, you make sure you do that because that's what you came here to do. I just got to say that. I always end with that because it's all about self-love first. You have to fill your cup first. And then once your cup is filled and it's overflowing, that's the fluid, that water that's overflowing, that's what you can share because you're abundant now. Because if you keep pouring from an empty cup, now you're pouring from your essence. And then you don't have anything to give back to yourself. And that's when you get depleted. And that's when you have a nervous breakdown. Hint, 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 hint. So I just got to say that. So peace and love to y'all. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone that has chimed in. Thank you to all the texts, that's to all of my loving people that say they are tuned in. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you for everyone that has tuned in on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm just trying to build a community, a positive community. For us, just for people that feel as though they live their life for everybody else, their whole entire life. But people that feel as though they want to talk about something, but they can't because they feel like they're going to be ostracized or made fun of. For people that has always had to be the strong one, but when you want to talk and you need a hug, but you can't because you don't want to seem weak. Because where we come from, we become food. But I'm trying to change the narrative because if for some reason our Black community, when we say we need help, then we look like as we weak. No, we're not. That's when you're strong. Because you admitting I need help to get me to this next point. So I just want to say peace and love to y'all. I love all of y'all. Thank y'all for the support. And we got to do the disclaimer. Let's get into it right quick. The views and opinions expressed on this show by the host do not necessarily state or reflect those of the channel. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guests do not reflect those of the host and the channel. All information, content, and material of the website podcast is for information purposes only and are not intended to serve as a substitute for the consultation, diagnosis, and or medical treatment of a qualified physician or healthcare provider. Likewise, all information, content, opinions, and materials of this podcast are for information purposes only and are not intended to be treated as legal advice, nor as any attorney-client relationship created herein. So I just want to say thank you all. Peace and blessings. I'll see you next week. August, be fired up and be prepared for that Mercury retrograde. I'm telling y'all that now. So y'all know how my internet be over here by this airport. We was pretty okay today. So don't come complaining to me next week. But we in Mercury retrograde. I love y'all. Peace.